Hi, Assalamualaikum, Waalaikum and Dejahau. My name is Azra Sheila binti Asmawi with matrix number 14D8021F10601 of the reporter today. Me and my friend would like to make a report on our survey, which is the preference of transportation among PMM students. Before I start my report, I'm so excited to introduce my other friends. The first one is Nur Syuhada binti Kamala Adha with matrix number 14D8021F1020. Next, Nohairina binti Rizal that holds matrix numbers 14D8021F1040. Lastly, No Ashiki binti Azli that holds matrix number 14D8021F1034. On this survey, we managed to achieve our objective, which is firstly is to identify the types of transport that students prefer, and secondly, the reasons PMM students prefer that transport. There are 38.6% of male students that joined in this survey, while the female students are 61.4%. Each of them are from various departments. The most highest answer is from commercial department, which is 63.6%, while tourism and hospitality department is 18.2%, followed by the other department, which is mechanical engineering 11.4%, civil engineering 4.5%, and the lowest responses is from electrical engineering, which is 2.3% of students. On average, they are third semester students, followed by second semester and fifth semester students that are answering our survey. Okay. The main question on this survey is transportation that typically used by PMM students. After did the analysis, the chart shows the largest transportation is walking. It is 7% higher than the proportion of students that drive with someone else. The almost equal proportion with the students that drive with someone else is the students that drive and park themselves, which is 23%. Taken together, the number of students that use bike is 60%. The most slight proportion is the number of students that use public transportation and airplane. Each represent 2%. Next, the pie charts display the transportation that costs more money. The pie chart obviously shows that 4/5 percentage of students that use cars. A minority of percentage is public transportation, which is 11%, while motorcycle is 6%. Lastly, a negligible amount of percentage from the transport that costs more money is walking. For the last report that I have to illustrate is the pie chart of the reasons students use that transportation. 7 in 10 percentage is to save times. Less than a fifth is to avoid dangers. 9% of the reasons is use less energy has an effect on the pie chart. 1 in the 20 percentage is there's no transportation for them to use. However, a small minority percentage of the reason is to save money, which is 3% lower than the students that do not have transportation. That's all from me. Now I will pass this report to my beloved friend Nur Ashikim binti Azli.
Thanks to Azra Ashila. My name is Nur Ashikim binti Azli. My matric number is F1034. Next, without wasting time, I will continue with my report. Let's have a look at this pie chart on the screen. This pie chart is referred to the reason that students do not use the public transportation. The chart illustrates the largest cut is liquid pink, which is represented by nearly to 45%, which is a percentage of the cost that is too much for students if they use public transportation. This is likely due to the student not being able to spend a lot of money because the cost will affect the distance from the student home to polytechnic and will be double due to going back and forth from polytechnic. Next, let's look at the small cut, which is dictate, which is represented by needing 1% for nearly to 10%, which is a percentage for other reasons. Another reason that students respond is students who live in campus because they do not use public transportation to go and return from polytechnic. It's not attractive, and one student who live around polytechnic will be stuck in them, and students feel more comfortable and safe. Let's look at the next pie chart. This is a pie chart of polytechnic distance from student home. If you look at this pie chart on the screen, you will see many students living around polytechnic, which is less than 1 kilometer with a percentage nearly to 70%. This is because there are students who live in councils or in rented houses near polytechnic. So, there must be students who do not need to use transport. For example, those who live in the polytechnic campus. Only 2% are 30 km away from their home to polytechnic. It is possible that students live with their parents. This student will take a long time to get to polytechnic and has to leave half an hour before the entrance time. After that, you will be with me another part for the bar graph. The bar graph you see on this screen is the rate of students think that use of transport is easier than walking. Based on the graph, we can see that the red graph is higher than the gold graph. The graph in red is 23 students who agree compared to strongly agree, which has a difference of 5 students respond that using transportation is easier than walking. But only one student who strongly disagree with this statement that we can see in the gold graph. There may be other factors such as higher cost. Next, I will give another report to my friend reporters, which is Nur Syuhada. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you Ashikin. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera everyone. My name is Nur Syuhada binti Kamalul Adaha and my matric card number is 14080 to 1F1020. Today, I will continue to explain about the next more 3 graph. Basically, this graph is about student response on some specific question, which is they only need to choose either there is agree or disagree about the statement. Alright, as you can see on the screen, the first chart is illustrate about the statement which states that PMM students choose to use transportation to polytechnic due to the distance between their homes. Based on this slide, it is very clear that most of the students agree with this statement, which is represented by 23 pupils, while the number of students who vote for strongly disagree was only 1%. Next, let's move on and look at the next chart. As we can see on the graph, more than half of students who vote strongly agree, while another 14 students vote for agree, 1 person vote for disagree, and balance of 2 students is vote for strongly disagree. Last but not least, let's focus on the last bar chart. This chart will show you about the rate of students that feel safe while using transportation to PMM. From this statement, take a look at the highest bar, which is the green color, which show that the student vote to agree, a total of 20 students. While the lowest is the student who vote strongly disagree, which is only 4 students, which is represented by a red color bar chart. I think that's all from me. I will hand it over to the next presenter, Kairina. Thank you.
Thank you, Nur Syuhada. Then, without delay, I will continue this report, following by the rate of bad experience faced by students while using transportation to PMM. As can be seen in this graph, the majority of PMM students agree that they have a bad experience while using transportation to PMM, which is a total of 15 students, following by 40 students who disagree, following by 11 students who are strongly disagree, and the lowest rate show 4 students who strongly agree. Next, we move on to the next graph that displays the rate of students that agree taking transport to PMM is worth it. Based on the graph, we can see that more than half of PMM students agree that using transportation to PMM is easy. But there are also students who disagree. Perhaps they have their own reason. Finally, we will talk about the rate of students will not going to class if they have no transport. After we did a survey on the student PMM, we formulate in graph form. As we can see, highest rate show student PMM strongly disagree. This is because PMM has strict rule in terms of attendance of its student. There are also some students who are very agree, which is 5 students. Maybe they take easy about the percentage of their present that they don't know will harm them later. That's all for me. Before I resign, I want to say 1,000 thanks to our lecturer, Miss Awin. We are really appreciate the time you given. Before we embark, let's watch a video that has gone viral on TikTok recently. Assalamualaikum and good night.